we'll do some introductions. We have Kelly Bigos, our recording secretary, Tom Wooden, our town manager, and selectmen J.D. Warren, Russ Hoffman, myself, Denise Griffin, Bill Hamlin, and Wendy Wolf. So next on the agenda is town manager announcements. Tom?
Thank you, Denise. The only one I have this evening is just sort of an update for the board. Denise and I met with Eileen King, Larry Calkert, Chris Buchanan, Jim Chiosis, and Steve Lewis last week to discuss the school charter. And as you know, there's been discussions about how there's a lot of verbiage in there that's outdated and doesn't pertain to anything currently. And the group pretty much decided on a variety of things, a variety of suggestions of areas to clean up in that charter. The next step, I think, is to have the school's lawyer actually draft it, and then we'll look at it again. But we made good progress, at least with verbiage changes. There were no other changes to anything else at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if other issues come up down the road, but those are the only things that we discussed. So that's actually moving ahead. So that's all I have, Denise.
Okay, well, I'll just add to that in the interest of transparency, because some people have asked me, because I agree with Tom. The group really, I think, went through the charter and looked at recommendations that Eileen King had made. She did a really good job putting forward some recommendations. But just so people are aware, and I do this in my because I really feel that the Board of Selectmen have a fiduciary responsibility to Boothbay Harbor taxpayers. But there are the two important sections of the charter. One is on the capital budget and one is on the annual operating budget. And on the capital budget is actually shared between the towns of Boothbay and Boothbay Harbor, and there's a 60-40 cap. So even though we only have about 32% of the pupils in the system, we are paying 40% of the fixed costs. And I think the fixed costs right now are relatively small, but that's the way the charter was written way back. The annual budget, the operating budget, which is the majority of the budget, is based upon a pupil ratio from each town. And the number of pupils from Boothbay Harbor has been declining in the past decade or two. So that means the number of pupils in Boothbay is increasing. So Boothbay is paying a greater portion of the school budget, and they don't like that. And they put forward the suggestion that we pay a greater portion of the school budget, a portion that would be, in my opinion, way more than our fair share. I certainly don't plan to do anything about it because I don't personally think it's right, and I'm curious what the other selectmen feel.
I agree with you, Denise. I don't see on the face of it a rationale for changing the allocation of the costs.
On the surface, I would say a per pupil assessment is probably seems most fair and reasonable, but I'm sure there are lots of other reasons to think of a different assessment, but on the face of it, a per pupil assessment would appear to be sort of a pay-as-you-go system.
Right.
I agree with you, Denise, on the pupil assessment. I remember when that charter was organized, so I mean, that's the way it is right now, unless we elect to change it, and that would have to go to the public anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, we're not taking a vote. I'm just saying, going forward, this may become a hot topic, so
what is our percent of students?
32
32%
right now. So, so 40 years ago, it was flip-flopped. It was the reverse.
Right.
But at that point, Boothbay Harbor was paying the bigger portion. But the big issue with this here is that it really would, if we made a change there, it would significantly increase our taxes. So just want to keep people informed about that. It
One
may
thing to
may
add.
not go anyplace, but they certainly brought it up.
One thing to add to that too is that if that does come to fruition, it would have to go before both towns and get voted on by both towns. Both towns would actually have to pass it. If one town did, one town didn't, it wouldn't pass.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And if we brought it to a vote, we would certainly do our best to have very clear wording on that.
Right.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
Good. Okay. That's all I wanted to say about that. Financials, Julia.
According to the revenue, total revenue was made $4,310,291.56. Total expenses year to date, $4,618,597.30. Does anyone have any questions on the revenue and expenses?
Any questions, anybody? No?
Total accounts payable is $323,185.92. And the bank balance is $1,683,134.
Okay, I think it looks like we are in, we're in good shape. Any concerns?
No, we're actually closing in on revenue, and we have taxes coming in March, so we're closing in on the gap of the percentages that we had discussed last Selectmen's meeting.
Do you still expect the expenses lines
I
to coalesce?
do. Unfortunately, we didn't have that meeting to be able to put in for the last draft, so
Okay.
hopefully by the next Selectmen's meeting.
I'm sorry, what, didn't have what, Julia?
The last Selectmen's meeting, I just presented the accounts payable, but didn't graph the expenses and the revenue to date for the last one in December.
From the December 22nd meeting.
So there's something missing from this graph?
For
is
the,
that-
from the graph itself, so
Yeah.
hopefully when after tonight's warrant,
Okay.
we'll catch up with the select on expense side. We're at 57% as of today for taxes collected year to date, so we're on target compared to this time last year for that.
Okay, thanks.
And the next tax bill goes out,
Well, we bill once a year, the second installment's due in
Or-
March.
or due, March,
We'll send
early
out-
March?
Early March,
Yeah.
I think it's March 11th. We'll
Okay.
send reminder notices out the second week in February.
Okay, so the reminder notices go out in February. Okay, great. All right, so we're going to move on to our consent agenda, which includes approving the minutes of the December 8th and December 22nd meetings and a renewal of Mr. C's liquor license,
So moved.
which is a renewal. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion passed. Okay, old business. I just have a few little old business items here. Sorry that they're not listed, but Tom, we were gonna follow up on costs from Bernstein Shore on updating the HR manual, and
I have not sent that on to them yet to do that, so I will, I
oh, okay.
forgot to do that, to be honest with you. I was doing other things and didn't remember that was something I was charged with doing.
Okay,
You want that to go to Matt, I would assume?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
all right, so,
At this point, we're just looking for an estimate of what that would cost,
Right.
correct?
right,
No problem.
All right.
Get that.
all right, great. And the other item we had talked about was a couple of meetings ago was a more formal time clock system.
I've done a fair amount of research here, which I think I'll email around to you, but there's an awful lot of different options for time clocks out there. And some of you may actually use time clocks in your businesses where you are, may be better at giving me some guidance on how much you want this time clock to do. I think it'd be best if the time clock somehow automatically fed into our payroll system. I'm not sure you want to get to that kind of expense. That's a fairly expensive thing. And also, if you're looking for this over in Public Works, not sure how that's going to connect here. So I think it needs more discussion. If I get the materials out to you to start to look through
Yep.
what type of things you're looking for, because I probably have 50 or 60 options here, and there's too many for me to make a recommendation on.
I think from my experience, and Russ, maybe you can chime in, but from my
Yeah.
experience, you really want to look at your employee population and pick the method that's best from them. Most of the data from the time clocks really ends up getting exported and then imported into a payroll system, so it doesn't really necessarily feed over automatically, so I really wouldn't worry about that part.
I mean, you don't want one that just simply punches a time.
Could very well be the best method.
Is that, if that's what you're looking for,
I think it's
We-
what's best for the
Do we use
employees.
time cards here
Mhm.
now? So,
but they're handwritten.
Handwritten.
yeah.
I'd like to see some of the options.
Okay, yeah, I'll
We don't
forward
use
all this
time
stuff on to
I
you.
so-
think we could,
I'd be curious to see the bells and whistles.
Yeah, there's a lot, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's hand scanners, there's
Yeah.
retina scanners, there's all kinds of
All
things.
kinds
It
of
gets
things.
gets a little
I think
crazy.
if we get the
Yeah.
Boothbay body scanner, that would be
Yeah.
But we don't have badges.
Nobody uses a badge.
Yeah, right.
I had one 10 years ago. I don't have a badge.
Okay. And RFP for the auditor, I know I have some information about that, but I don't know if everybody else does, so why don't you
Well,
give an update on where that's
yeah.
at?
we have a draft RFP for auditing services here. Some of you provided a fair amount of other supplemental things that we've sort of incorporated into this. But I'd be glad to send it all around to you and get your feedback on it, see if there's anything in there that you think we should add or take out of that. Obviously, I haven't gone forward with putting it in the paper yet, but I could do that tomorrow for you and get that out. You didn't get a chance to look at the one you had, I take it. Is that right?
Well, I wanted to, I did, but I didn't get the scoring sheet until today, and I didn't have time. I wanted to kind of
Yeah.
look at it all together.
And I get that this afternoon too. If I can incorporate some of that into this and make them match up too.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if you could do that.
So I'll morph those two together. So, okay.
So you're gonna combine the two together and then redistribute a draft?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the items on that scoring sheet, 80% of them are probably applicable. I mean, it could be 20% aren't.
Okay.
Might be more than that, it's hard to say, but, okay. And I take it since we haven't heard anything from you, we still don't have any financial updates for the past 2 quarters from Boothbay Regional Ambulance District.
The
That's
last
true.
conversation I had with them was before the budget meeting last week, where they said they were having trouble with their auditor. So I haven't received anything.
So we've paid out 102 out of 164 that was authorized,
107 actually.
107.
107.
But 164 something was what was authorized, is that right?
Roughly there, yeah.
So the last statement we had was June, is that right? Which is
Their
the end
financials?
of their, yeah.
Yeah.
End of their fiscal year, which is what I received again at the board meeting on a week ago. Tonight.
The ambulance board meeting, yeah. Right, yeah, we haven't received any financials since then.
So I asked
you.
again for the September statement, and now, of course, there's a December
There should be.
statement
be,
that we
yeah.
should get as well.
Okay, well, hope we see them before they come to Budget Committee.
Which is February 11th, but we talked about changing that date.
Well,
So
that's flexible. It depends how much we get done at each meeting. So
Yeah.
we haven't really picked a firm date for that yet, but we want to make sure
Well, I
all,
was going by your agenda
yeah.
of all the scheduled
If everything
meetings.
went unscheduled, that would be about right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any other old business anybody can think of? No? Great, moving on, new business, registrar reappointment.
Yeah, this is, actually, I think your copies are all white. One Michelle gave me is pink, but the registrar actually gets appointed on a calendar year. rather than our fiscal year. So Michelle asked me to ask the board to appoint her as the registrar of voters, and that's what that's for.
Okay. Don't remember that that's on a calendar year basis, but I'm sure you're right.
Do you have any more of those, Tom?
Yeah, I made copies for, but you
Is
can
it
have this
on
one.
your file? It would be white though,
It
not
would
pink.
be white, yeah.
It's a
I'm not
landscape
seeing it.
page.
I know.
Yeah, it's not here, so just pass it down, I can send it.
Keep going, keep going.
All right, I got the pink
You
one.
can have the pink one.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion here. We're really talking about reappointing
So, yeah,
Michelle
right.
She's already doing it, yeah.
as the
Yeah.
registrar.
Just to make it
So-
legal.
So the motion, so move that Michelle Farnham be reappointed as town registrar?
Correct.
That's right.
That's right.
Bingo.
Second.
Good job, good job. Second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Thanks.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah, motion carries. Okay,
Thank you.
next item of new business, Douglas Carter.
First, I'd like to thank you for letting me speak wherever that goes. And my wife, I'm Douglas Carter, this is my wife Rebecca Carter. And what I'm gonna do is give you this and try to take it as 12 pages. It probably won't take more than 15 minutes. It's just, I will explain to you what has happened, and I'd appreciate you asking any questions. The reason I'm here is October 2nd, the 13th, that'd be 2013. I bought a piece of land up town. My wife and I have been getting ready to retire. If you don't mind, I'd like to sit down and feel more comfortable.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Feel free.
Well, anyway, a piece of land come up in Lobster Cove, and I grew up in Lobster Cove 30 years, and I live on the water, and I'm ready to retire. A piece of property come up for sale, it was an acre and a third, and my wife looked at it, I looked at it, we walked all around the area several times. And my wife fell in love with it. And just, anyway, it's in the woods, privacy. Everything was good. We marked out where the house would go, the side, before I bid on it. In other words, we done this all in like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I was going to bid $32,000 for this on a Thursday. When we done all the measurements, and my wife said this will work, and where everything would go, we've lived on a one-level house for 31 years. And my age, she's a lot younger, as you can tell, but we have been together 40 years. She just, well, anyway, we went on a one-level house. So I sold the trailer that was on it. And I will go page by page with you on this after I tell the story. Sold the trailer on it. There was 3 dumps on the land in question. And I cleaned them up. So then I got ready construction to come. It's a year later to put the septic system in. So I got all of Terry Layton. And I said, Terry, Neil would just feel more comfortable if you put the pin where we got everything mapped out. And so he knows how far the pin, your setbacks and everything is. I mean, we knew basically within 5 or 6 feet, we thought. Terry looked at it and this man, he said, I'm sorry, he says, but you've lost, that's not 290 feet on the road, it's 190. I said, Terry, look, I said, I really wanted this property, I didn't buy it as an investment. I bought it as a retirement. I said, I went to lawyers, they done all the title searches, went back to 1883. The deed my wife and I have now has not varied from the deed in 1883. Supposedly, an abutter done a survey, I still haven't found out why. On this property, the deed, a lot of deeds read 1 acre more or less, 3 acres more or less, and it really doesn't make that much difference. I went to the tax assessor before I put in the bid. You'll see I bid $41,006 because everything would fit and I could do the. So I was more afraid that somebody with more money than me or something up Appalachia would buy this. There's no water frontage, it's just privacy. So I jumped my own bid to the 41 because I really wanted it. So I turned around and, like I said, had the surveys, didn't have a survey. He said, if I put the pin in, it's going to be 1 acre. And I said, everything that we've done, the house won't fit. The setbacks, the septic, the house wouldn't be in the area. If you just take the big map and look at it, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. The yellow, it'll say lost. We was gonna put it was 60 by 26 log cabin, single, small, it wasn't a big house, it's 1 story. And with the new measurements, by losing that 1/3 of an acre, would put the corner of a log cabin 7 feet from the line. Well, it's all ledge on the backside where we cleaned it up. I got Stevie Rennie to come back down and look at the situation. I got a hold of a tax assessor. And I want to say right now, Jeff Smith, I met with him probably 8 or 10 times. I've met with one of the tax assessors and tried to say, how can the town accept taxes for 1 1/3 acres for over 100 years and literally repossess the property at the acre and the 1/3? And how can that be? The tax assessor said, get another survey, go see another surveyor because Terry Layton has been involved in the person that, just that. And I told Terry, because Terry's done a lot of survey for me. So I went to another surveyor up in Wisconsin, or Colin, you probably know him. Went over the same thing as with Terry. So I didn't like what he said. So then I went to Dan Scott at the Bob Freeman. So I didn't only go to one survey, I got 3 guys. They're telling me, I went to Bob Freeman and I said, look, we want to build this. This is our dream spot. I grew up there, and to make this fit, will you go down there and survey this piece of property at the town's, what everybody's been paying taxes on? I don't care if a person went and had it surveyed and says it's an acre because he's in the bottom. The same guy, which is Chad Riddle, that had his survey, didn't have his own property surveyed. But he had this piece surveyed because it read 1 acre more or less. And this was in '73. I don't blame the town because nothing got registered. Nothing was in Wisconsin. The only time I ever see this 1 acre survey was 14 months, or 13 months after I bought the property, and I'm ready to put the septic system in, and Terry said it's an acre job. I asked Terry, I said, look, Joan Riddle supposedly owns this 1/3 of an acre. 15,000 square feet. She is my wife's aunt. When money's involved, you don't want relations involved. I said, will you meet with Joan and tell her what has happened, that the town has sold me an acre and a third, and it appears a third, your husband had it surveyed through Lynn Brown down to the acre, which added to his 46 acres. But I need it to make my house fit. So he said, yes, sir. Well, so Terry Layton met with Joan Riddle and Susan, and he explained exactly what had happened and this and that. And I said to Joan, I said, Joan, I really want to straighten this out. I said, I want to get started on the septic system. I said, it's a very unfortunate mistake. I know the town didn't do it because there was nothing registered. So the tax assessors, anybody could tell, but somebody had cut it back down to an acre. She says, well, what would you like to do? Well, Susan and Joan was on the site. I said, look, here's where I had all the ribbons. I said, where we want to put the house. That's where we want to put the septic system. I said, your line is a pie-shaped piece, and 1/8 by the 40. So from here to there, that tree, I said, it's 38 feet. But we need this. I said, this is where we got to build. This is the septic. And so we won't have to blow that ledge over there. There's a 25-foot setback. You know, the whole thing. Well, I see where you got a problem, and you know, it is a problem, but the way we see it, we talked this over, is you paid approximately $45,000 for that lot. Now, you lost a third of it. So we think $15,000 would be fair. And I said, well, I don't know, but it's yours. All I know is I'll give you $3,000 to make this go away. I'll talk to Terry Layton. I'll pay everything, deeds, closing, anything, just so we can get on with this. I said, there'll be no changes on the tax map, because ever since I've got the tax maps back to the end of the early 60s, that's as far back as I could go. And what you'll be seeing is the same dimensions on the tax map ever since they were started. I even went to Barbara Rumsey and tried to get some of the water ones back in the 20s. And she said, no, 15,000, if you can pay 45,000 for that, and we'll take 15 and we'll take a cent less. And I said, it's not gonna happen. I said, and then she said, why would you give us $3,000 for something that you don't know is ours? I said, I know what it costs for legal surveyors and go, I said, I'll give you $3,000 to make the problem go away. And all I'll end up with is what the town gives me. All right, now we're getting down to we can go through and I'll explain why and what I want. First page, you can see where I bought the property and the deed. That'd be page 1. In there, it instructs me to go.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
So it's clear in my mind, Douglas. Are the boundaries in the deed consistent throughout the years?
The boundaries in the deed says we can get, I'll answer that. It'd be easier for me to answer that if we get down through it rather than.
All right.
Could I do that?
Yeah, I just want to know whether the deed's a problem
Okay,
or the tax maps are a problem.
here's what's gonna happen. I've given you, okay, we'll go to, this probably be cutting through some of, I've given you four deeds. I want you to go to page 5, please. Okay, you see page 5, you see 1883 down on the side?
Yep.
Okay, this is the deed that would come from Levi Reed in 1883. You got 3 more deeds, even the deed that the town gave me, are all consistent. They're all the same, no changes.
Okay.
Problem being, with the deeds, 3 of the places, you got 11 rods, you got 18 rods, this and that. On the roadside, you got stumps, but you got the same thing in 1883. To the stump of the old pine tree up to the side of the road. You follow where I'm
Yeah.
coming from?
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yes, the deeds are consistent. Every deed that has changed hands is with the same.
Okay.
So the answer to that is yes. I'm just trying to, okay, let's go, okay, you got the big picture in front of you. You basically know what I have lost. I think I've explained to you okay, we'll get right down. What I'm here for and what I'm looking for is not the $15,000 so I can achieve and get what I bought. I'm looking for $10,000. With that $10,000, I want to offer that to them. And if they'll take it, I'll end up with what I bought. If they won't, the $10,000 is going to cost me that much more in excavating. I'm not going to get the house I want. It won't fit. I got to blow. In other words, I'm going to eat it up in the 1 acre. I'm not going to get what we went in for. I'd much rather get what I went after, but I don't think it's fair of the Riddles to ask $15,000 for that third of an acre when you're only taxing them on $2,400 an acre. I mean, it's just, but the 10, like I said, she said that she'd as soon have a small one with 2 levels. We've lived on 1 level for 31 years. I know I don't want to be climbing stairs. I'm getting older. If you will go to, I was going to go in series, but this is going to work out all right here. If you go,
So Douglas, basically, you're asking the town to compensate you or pay you $10,000 so that you can buy a piece of land to build your house on it.
no, I want you to go to 9, page 9, please. You on page 9?
Yep.
Okay, I paid $41,600. You needed $4,300, so the way I look at it,
Minimum bid.
minimum bid, but that is what you was into for taxes and to be allowed, what people owed you. True?
True. True.
What I'm looking at is, I feel you got $37,300 gain. But you did not sell what you advertised, what you said, and what you told me was there. So, second high bidder. There were several bidders. It was $25,000. It was Allen and Ruth Watts. I went and told him what had happened. I said, my bid was $16,600 more than yours. They said, it would have been more than that if we'd known we was only bidding on 1 acre. So I guess my point is, if you give me the 10, not to build a house, to make do possibly to buy what you sold me in the first place. I'm not getting any of the money. No, you're not giving me money to build a house. All you're doing is reimbursing a wrong that you didn't realize you was doing. But I just would like to have you people step up to the plate and admit there's a wrong here. You collected taxes for 100 years of a larger piece of property than you supposedly own.
There, you might be right, but let's just talk about some other facts here, just in the interest of transparency. The taxed assessed value of this land was and probably still is $82,500, which is almost about double what you paid for it.
If you want to talk about tax assessed value, you have tax assessed the 46 acres that abuts me for $114,000. You're taxing me $898 for 1 acre. The land we're arguing about, you are taxing $114,000. The Reynolds paid $1,246 for 46 acres. No, we're talking assessed value. I didn't say the 82. Look, anybody in this room who knows real estate, or any broker, or anybody who's done real estate, knows that lot is not worth $80,000 and it's overassessed.
That may well be, but I'm just saying that that's what the facts are that are in the
Okay,
office.
if you're saying
Can I
that,
ask you one other question?
where is the acre in the third?
Well,
I
I don't
lost
know, and I'm not,
25%.
and I don't know about
Well, I
the other
don't know
towns.
either. I've lost 25%. I hope maybe
can I
some of
ask
the
a-
other four you can see where I'm coming from.
What did we say, how much land did we say was there?
1.3, okay.
Where is that?
As I said, I was getting a little bit ahead of myself, and I would like to
It's
go
on
with, I was
the
gonna
tax
go
assessment.
page to page, so I wouldn't have to jump around.
It says 1.3 acres on the
Right,
tax.
right, that's what it was, but I wanted to, that's what I bought. I thought I bought. That is, the 1.3 acres is what you're looking at in yellow.
Right.
The piece that says lost is a 15,000 square feet I don't have.
Why did you have the survey done after you bought the land and not before?
I don't know if you've ever bought a piece of land, Denise, but anybody in this room has
Actually, I
ever bought a piece of land on an auction from a town. I've bought probably 8 or 10 pieces from a town. I've never had a problem. This was a piece I did not buy as an investment. I bought to put my home on, to retire on. There's nobody in this room that's ever bought a piece of land at an auction or from a town that's had it surveyed before they bought it. I know this, because somebody'd be stupid. Well, I know probably more about real estate than you do. What I'm saying is, if that piece of land, have it surveyed, cost between $3,000 and $4,000. People don't do that if they don't know they're gonna do it. What happens is, if you're gonna buy the land off a bank or something, and you're the only guy that's out there, you have subject to survey, subject to title, subject to all of the above. I done the title insurance, I done everything but the survey. I'm just telling you, if people bid on property, they don't go every survey. It's too expensive.
It's on that.
Would anybody back me up on that?
I don't know about that, but the reason I asked the question I did earlier is I was trying to understand where the error occurred. The deed has been correct all along, is what I take away from this.
Say that?
The deeds have been correct
Right.
all along.
Right.
Or consistent.
They've been consistent.
They have been
They've been
consistent.
correct.
What
And
happened
and are
was-
not the deeds the gold standard of when you transfer property?
Yeah, I saw that.
So one position I could take is, we said, we have this deed, and we're gonna give you our interest in it, and the deed is the gold standard. It's what matters, not the tax map, not what else is said.
You referred to me to the tax map, and for a better description, read what it says there. Referred to the tax map, and for a better description, the deed. Okay, the deed is the same, read back to 1883.
Right.
The tax map is what?
The tax map is wrong, right?
Yes, according to 1973, but it never got registered.
Yeah.
But the free surveyors, which the tax assessor,
My only point is, we got two pieces of paper. One is the deed, one is the tax map. The deed is the gold standard. That's what matters when you
Right.
transfer, not the tax map.
Right.
And the town gave you what the deed said.
The town code referred to the tax map, which I went and mapped out, and the
Yeah,
house and all the footage, the whole.
I understand
I
that.
went
and
to the code enforcement officer and I said, how close are these tax maps? And he said, that since a reevaluation and up to taxes, he said that close. Well, I don't think 100 feet's close.
No, they weren't close. They're clearly it's wrong.
Okay, so you turned around and screwed everybody since 1883 on the taxes. You repossessed this property from people that maybe they didn't owe as much taxes as if they'd have been taxed properly, they'd been taxed on an acre.
Could be, I don't know. We don't do the assessment. That's done by an
Well, you don't
outside
do the
agency.
assessment, but you do know last year I paid, and this year, I paid taxes on 1 1/3. You got it right in front of you.
Yeah, no, I think you have a real valid argument for going to the assessor and saying, my land should be reassessed and I should be given a rebate on my past taxes. I think you have a valid argument there. I'm not sure you have a valid argument on the transfer of the land.
I have been
That's just
to, like I say, I've been to the abutters, I've been to everybody.
I appreciate that because that was, in my book, that was the right thing to do, is try and solve it.
I done everything, I have been to legal, and I don't have a legal lawyer under retained now, and I was hoping that I wouldn't have to get a big, but I was just hoping that somehow that you people selling me something you didn't have would face a little bit of responsibility, that you had a little bit of, I like what Denise said, the speech at the beginning, that she has a responsibility to the taxpayers of Boothbay Harbor. Well, I am a taxpayer to the tune of $20,000 a year between my business, my house, and this and that. I just wish she felt she had a responsible to me, because she sold me something less than it was, and I paid top dollar for it.
Dougie, on page 9 here on the back,
Right?
yeah, on here, all properties are being offered and will be sold as is.
Right.
I mean,
And you know what I say?
I mean, that's what,
From now on, maybe you should be more careful how you word your deeds and you do that. I tried to do
I know you,
the right thing and stuff about this, but I guess what Tom Wooden told me 6 months ago was basically it. I've gone to Tom 3-4 times and I've always come up empty, and now it appears I'm coming up empty again. So it's, but like I say, I'm using all my options. I tried to make it right. I always pay my taxes on time, but I wish you wouldn't hold that against me, but it's,
So, Mr.
Carla.
Carter, in the title documents, does the lost 1/3 of the acre belong to you? In other words, when you go back through the title, does the title
problem
include this
The
property?
problem is, if you read one of them, if you even read the one that you gave me, it goes 11.5 rods, then it goes 12 rods, then it goes 18 rods. It starts on the east side of the road, and it goes up to an old stump, then it goes to rod. It does not give the footage. That's why, literally, excuse what I said, that's why Chet Riddle in 1973, with the help of Lynn Brown, stole that 1/3 of an acre. He had that surveyed out, didn't register it, didn't register his own 46 acres he owned. Do me a favor before, go to your big map.
Yeah.
There's something that maybe Denise can explain it to you. No, I want you possibly you know a lot about real estate, your husband's done a lot. Explain why there's no marks or measurements on any of Mr. Riddle's property, but every property on the whole page has footage and whatever. Could you explain that to the other four selectmen?
Nope, actually I can't.
Would you like to try?
Nope.
He's never had it surveyed. The only piece he had surveyed was this, because it read 1 acre more or less, and he gained the less. He gained a third of an acre. Okay, well, you talk
So they-
about, you talk about taxes and this and that, what this was. Okay, you got all of this is appraised, same height, same everything. This is $114,000, and you said mine's 82.
No, they speak to the.
You think that's right?
These dimensions.
This is, no, okay, no, I'm just saying.
So it's all ambiguous.
It's not ambiguous. It's.
But and this is what I explained to her. This person got Lynn Brown to survey this and take this further. If I gotta go to a lawyer, I gotta go the route, I mean, nothing's easy. The reason there's no measurements here, but if you
So
look, they're everywhere. I mean, this is Susan Pemberton, she's got a house, if you wanna look at
You're
her.
saying he surveyed this in 72, knew that this line wasn't here but here, and didn't do anything about it.
Right. He
I
never,
understand that.
if he'd done something about it and put it in, you guys.
Then we would have flagged it and.
Okay, what would have happened is,
This,
I would have gone over and say, well, fit it, because
it says
we want
1
one
acre,
level.
but it says.
Where we're
solid
putting the
there.
house was right here, but it's 40. All the setbacks and the sewer was going in here. I didn't know this was gone until Rennie come over. I'm just saying,
No, I
it's
understand.
unfortunate, but I think you people are, because of the amount of money I paid, it wasn't, that piece of property, really, I know what real estate, you're talking basically probably $35,000. It's got year-round water. There's no, you can't see this water. This is just private. I mean, it's not,
Yeah, I know it.
you can go by what some of these lots, you're talking an acre, you're talking 35,000, because there's no water, no town sewer. So, I mean, it's not, the 82 is ridiculous, it's just a high number. But you can tell it's a high number because this is only 114, the whole caboodle. So,
This only has limited frontage. as
Right.
well, Which is what.
But Denise, I really didn't appreciate me building a house for $10,000. All I was trying to do, I guess I didn't explain it right, was try to justify and make work by paying the 42. I give anything to turn around and give, to get what I want. I don't want $60,000 tied up in something, I don't want to buy something twice. I think you have some responsibility for what you've done.
Frank?
I'm not taking sides here, but Frank Vasek, Boothbay Harbor, somebody who buys a fair amount of property. If I'm understanding this correctly, the deed that you sold, or the deed was an acre and a third. And when in fact, he ended up with an acre. The value of the land doesn't matter. What the neighbors pay for taxes doesn't matter. What matters is that, and this could happen to me,
I think that's incorrect, Frank.
I think so
I think
too.
the deed does not state
the
any
deed doesn't
acreage.
say.
The
Doesn't
deed
state
simply
anything.
states the bounds.
The deed actually says an
What they
acre.
did is refer to me to look at the town map, which was an acre and a third,
okay?
and
So-
they referred,
But
That's why I was asking, was the deed
Okay.
correct? The deed is correct, I
Okay.
believe.
the
okay, well-
deed has not altered since
Since,
1883.
And the
But the
deed is
deed-
what Terry Layton went by when he.
No, Terry Layton didn't make the acre. No.
Who did the survey?
Lynn Brown, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all that ain't.
But you had
And he
somebody-
didn't register it.
You had somebody do the survey recently, right?
Oh, no, I went to Terry, turned around, went up, and I went to O'Connell. I wanted to uphold, get away from the,
Okay, what I'm saying, he may have not surveyed, but when he reviewed what was done, he was going by the deed. And,
no, he
No?
was going by Lynn Brown's survey.
okay, so he's going by a
It's
survey.
almost like, I argued with a tax assessor. Say you didn't have your land surveyed and you did. Say there's 7 acres. Say your, I don't know what your deeds read, but half your deeds read more or less. Surveyors do that to protect themselves, lawyers do it to protect themselves.
Yeah.
They say, well, what information's available, blah, blah, blah. They don't want to leave themselves open. They commit to nothing, but take all your money. No, I know, I mean, I've dealt with the surveyor's gonna say, well, what information is available, this is that conclusion. If there's 7 acres and yours is 4 acres more or less, hers is 4 acres more or less, and your neighbor's. You go get a survey, you're gonna get your 4 acres, she's gonna get screwed. And I asked the tax assessor, why is that? If a deed is unclear on a tree, if the Riddle's deed reads mostly to scarp trees or to a stump that once was, I'm not kidding it, because I get called.
No, I've read
No, I
deeds
mean,
downtown, it reads to an iron pin,
You
set in
know,
the mud flats
so the
from
gray area,
somebody's stone.
So what my only alternative now is, I've been to be about it, I've been to you people. Okay, now I gotta go to the legal business. And I think I've done this before, what really bugs me, I gotta go pay $300-400 for a lawyer an hour. Then I gotta pay $300-400 out of my tax, $20,000 to you, because this ain't nothing, you care about the taxpayers, but you don't give a shit about spending the money. So you're gonna have to hire a lawyer to fight my lawyer for me to get what you give. I like things simple. Why can't we just do this? Why not eliminate all this fighting and
I understand your point, but another way to look at this problem is the town's had the deed. The deed has been unchanged for hundreds of years. The deed is correct. But your argument, and it's a believable argument, is that somebody in 1970 had it surveyed and said, well, I think this deed means this, and moved some property from what people thought it was to the adjacent property. And regrettably, that's not the town's issue. And you're right, I think you've got to go get a survey that says, no, that's not the right survey. The right survey is over here, and this is my
Well, I've
property.
been to 3 surveys and they won't survey what the town sold me.
Well, if the surveyors won't do that, then the deed is the deed.
Then you've been collecting taxes on
I-
property that,
I think you have a right to go get your taxes abated if, in fact, the town has been presuming there's been more acreage on that lot than there are.
wow. I'd like to thank you for the time, but in talking to you, you know less about real estate than Denise.
Well,
You know what my reimbursement would be on that acre and a third?
hardly worth your time.
$23.
I know that.
So, well, if you knew that, why the hell did you say it? Sounds pretty stupid, doesn't it? Why did you get a $23 abatement when you spent $42,000? You didn't get what you wanted, and you put the screws to me? Well, like I say, it's been real.
What did the ad say in the paper when you advertised it for sale?
It said, all properties are being offered and will be sold on an as-is, where-is basis, including abandoned personal property as may remain on the property, and with no express or implied warranties whatsoever with respect to any matter, including but not limited to title, acreage, condition, suitability, or fitness of any property for any purpose.
I got plenty of them, I'll have them for, could I have, you guys don't want to throw back the cat, because I know I will have enough for that. Because as I say, there was a 1 year it showed any interest, make the thing right.
Described in the tax map. The tax map shows that it's an acre and a third, correct?
Thank you.
So,
Yep, that's wrong.
You know,
okay.
So can I ask a clarification question? Deciding this is clearly an issue, I don't have enough knowledge to make an informed, legally binding decision. But I'm wondering if there, even though the sale says as is, this is a significant issue where someone has bought something in good faith that has
That's
Now,
what the
not-
tax assessor said to me. He said, go to the selectmen. He said, and explain it to the selectmen. He says, because what you read on that is almost like if a property wasn't even there, you aren't responsible for nothing. I mean, the town, you know, clears itself from title, from that, from every, if you read that on the back, it does. It clears itself from everything, from title, which I done the title, from acreage, from usage, which I can't use it, from everything that's possible you could write. The thing that you said, good faith, this and that, I feel I done everything in good faith. I paid top of $1. I went to the abutters and they said, look, I don't want to get into a legal argument. I don't want to, what I was going to do I was going to come back and say, hey, look, to make this right, would you give me this? And she took the tree and say, if you said no, you know, it'd been no. But the way it is now is I cannot do what I bought the property for, the whole 9 yards. The 10,000, which she said, go build a house, all that was, I guess she didn't understand. There's ledges and stuff here, it's gotta be belong, the $10,000, if the person who stole a third of an acre would not take that, I would put it into regrouping the,
Sure.
you know, I
Did
mean,
that-
that was.
was-
So wait, may I finish my clarification? So if you feel this was not done in good faith, and I don't know the legal answer to this, and that's why I'm asking you, is there a circumstance ever where the town auctions off property, and if there is an issue where there is controversy like this, that the town, you say, fine, this is not what I thought I purchased,
I'm
the
not
town
trying-
refunds the purchase? Well, I'm just asking legally.
Make him whole, give him his money back, minus his expenses, put it out to bid again.
Well, that's what I'm asking, exactly.
You know, one of the things that Douglas didn't mention too is that there was a representative here today from our assessing firm. It wasn't Rob Duplessis, but it was Roger who works for him. And Roger said to me, and I don't know what discussion you had with him, I knew you were talking with him, but Roger said to me that tax maps clearly are not to be used for conveyance. They are not legal descriptions of property. And so.
You read where they referred me to a tax map listener. I went to code enforcement officer and I asked, you know, how close are these, before I put the bid map, and he said, because of a reevaluation, they're close. What Roger said, this is the same guy who was talking to him, told me to come to you guys. Because his boss, which is the guy from down, this is just the guy, you know, it happened to be there today, told me to come. I told him I was coming with you guys tonight and this and that. And he said, the trouble is the way they do these deeds by the old stump and this and that is too hard to determine. But he also told me that back where, as far back, I mean, I don't know if I showed you, but back in the 60s, this tax map, but as far back as when tax maps were made in Boothbay Harbor, the same dimensions are on them tax maps. I even went to Barbara Rumsey and tried to get some more, you know, literature on it to bring to you people. And it's, and as far as in good faith, I mean, I always pay my taxes on time. I always do. Yeah, I bought numerous pieces of property off that, but I never.
So, Mr. Carter, if legally the town could say, we auction this off, you put a bid in good faith, you got a piece of property, the property was not as it was billed, you are dissatisfied, therefore the parameters of the sale were, you know, not correct, therefore we'll refund your money and we'll rebid the property out at
auction. That'd be more than fair, but when you rebuild the property, you gotta bid that at 1 acre.
Well, yes, of course, then you have to bill it correctly.
You know, I mean, you know, because that is, I'd have no
I'm
problem.
just asking if that would
Satisfy me?
Would that be satisfactory?
That would be definitely satisfactory with me, but I would not bid on the property again because it's not.
No, I'm not asking if you would do
No,
a
I'm
future
just saying
action.
it's not, no, I would take my money back, but I also would like to have the property, but I don't wanna get 60
Sure.
into an acre.
Sure.
So the answer to your question is yes, give me my 41.6 back and go with it again.
Okay, and I'm not a,
And
I'm not a
here's-
lawyer, so I
okay,
don't
and
know
here's something
what our
else.
parameters.
Here's something else. There was 3 dumps on this place in question. When I say dumps, I mean, it took me a week and a half to take these dumps up to the refuge, to get rid of them, to clean the area up. These people that lived there, there's 7 or 8 people that lived throughout the years, assumed that was their property because they put all the shit on the dumps. So my wife and I have been 6, 7 months getting rid of a trailer, cleaning up the whole area. So then when you get ready to put the septic system in, you can't put it here, you don't own it.
Right, well, you've clearly done a lot of work. I put a question to you, Tom, I guess, is that within our authority to do that?
I would consult the town attorney with all of this. I mean, it was described to me that all we were conveying was our interest. We were not promising anything about the property. It even clearly states that, and that, as is as is.
The
Well,
tax assessor told me, you have the, I don't know whether he knows, because he's not a tax, that whatever you decide, because I told him, what I'm gonna do is try to give me $10,000 back, and I'm gonna try to buy the
Right.
third of an acre to make everything happen. And
I
he
think
said,
we
he
understand.
feels you have the, no, he feels you have the power to do it. If I hadn't paid as much money for it,
Legal suggestion on that?
I wouldn't be here. In other words, if I bought it for an investment or something,
Can
but I paid top dollar for that.
Yeah.
If anybody knows real estate, 40-something with not town sewer, no water deal and stuff, that's that's right in line with, all you gotta do is go out there and look at pieces of property for sale. 35, 40,000 bucks is right in line with an acre, so.
It's clear
So I
everybody thought it was
think-
an acre and a third.
Huh?
It was clear everybody thought it was an acre and a third.
Well, okay, it's
I
like
think-
group,
Okay.
Yeah. I
Watts,
think,
and they bid, everybody bid
there were
on
other
that.
people that were interested.
Huh?
There were some other people that were interested.
Oh, I know
in it.
there were.
Yeah.
Group Watch told me
So,
that they bid
I think
25,000.
we've heard your presentation, and it appears to me we're not going to make any decision on this tonight. But I think Bill had one other question
I
or
just have
thought.
one other question. Is it simply the setbacks that are preventing you from building what you want?
Okay, I gotta go get legal advice and this and that, and I also, I mean, I'm so upset now that you wanna do nothing.
Yeah.
And
Well, here's
I'm sorry, Denise, if this is boring you, but, I understand where you're coming from.
Could you go for
I'm
variance?
mad enough, so the property that you sold me, that I didn't get, I wouldn't do a 25-foot setback, I'd tell somebody to kiss my ass. In other words, but I need more, the 38 feet, I'm not gonna put a septic system, I wasn't gonna build on it anyway. It was, I think I explained earlier, I was 7 feet from,
Yeah, here's the thought, and you maybe have already thought about this and dismissed it, but if it is simply the setbacks, I think you would have an argument to go before the Board of Appeals and request a variance on the side yard setback because you were sold something that was of nothing you did not meet the code. And I personally would think that would be a valid argument.
well, it is, but the problem is the leach field and the septic system. And the problem is where we're gonna put the house, this is a flat area. If you go over that way 22 feet, you got a ledge as half as high as this. It's gonna be blown off, the pad's gotta
Okay,
be.
so you couldn't fit everything
You
on
couldn't fit, no, you couldn't fit, no.
Fair enough.
That's, I think what I was trying to explain to Denise.
Can I ask one more
Yeah.
Well,
question?
you know what,
The 10.
All right.
gentlemen,
whatever.
we've gone
Yeah.
45 minutes on this, and we're not going to make a decision tonight.
Well, I would like
I'd
to
like
get
to
a
hear it.
legal, I would like to
Well,
get a legal
That's my
opinion.
point, we're not going to make a
Yes.
decision
I'd like
tonight.
to
I
hear
think
it.
we're going to table this and
All I was
get some more
going to ask you
information.
to do is remember your training for elected officials. It's the perception. It may not be the fact. Douglas has obviously acted in good faith. We as a town have a responsibility to deal with him in good faith. And the perception of this situation obviously is that we owe him a third or a quarter of an acre of land. your lower bid of $25,000, if you were to give him the $10,000 and let him buy the piece of property that he needs, from 41, that takes you down to 31, you're still 6,000 above the next lowest bid. That's one option. The second option is give him his money back, give him his expenses that he's invested in the property, and then rebid it.
Right. Thank you for the summary. Good summary, Bruce. I think your numbers were accurate. So, but I think that we need to do some thinking about this, and it makes sense for us to table it for 2 weeks until the next meeting in January. So, because then we'll, I think, have a little bit, we'll have a little bit more time
So if you get a little bit
to
of
think
time,
about the
think about
issues.
it, talk maybe to your attorney or something and tell him where you're at. But like I say, what I paid and what I bought my own bid to make sure I would get it, but I did not get what I had gone for.
I think
We're
that's
clear.
abundantly
We're
clear.
very clear on that. So, thank you.
Well, thank
I
you.
really want that land, I really do.
Okay. That's helpful to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, because we do have 2 other things on our agenda tonight before we get to the warrant. So the next agenda is a public forum. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak? Mr. Fassett.
If they,
Frank
if folks
Bassett.
could
Yeah,
identify.
could you identify yourself and where you live,
I was
please?
doing that.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Frank Bassett. I lived in Boothbay Harbor. Wendy, I want to know what you found out about the price for the video system that Boothbay paid.
I have not found anything for the video system. So
Didn't
I
you ask-
didn't realize that was my
I think you
responsibility.
asked Tom to get it.
Yes, well,
Did you?
The one that was written about in the paper that was
Yeah,
$20,000?
but I said I thought that was wrong. And I think if we check the minutes, Wendy, you asked Tom to find out about it.
well, thanks for reminding me.
I think.
So, I guess that would
Katrina
be
might
under
know.
that old business item that.
Katrina, do you remember the article in the paper about the video upgrade they did in Boothbay, the live stream, how much that cost? I thought it was around $20,000.
So I guess my question is, Tom, you didn't,
Well, maybe I can find out.
Yeah, okay, we can find out.
well, but you were asked to find out a month ago.
I already knew what it was, Frank. I didn't realize
It's
it was
not
asked.
$20,000, it's $10,875. Can I go over the phone call that I made, the 1 minute I spent on trying to get the information?
So you already have it, good.
Oh, yes, I already have it. But why am I having to go get it if somebody asked you to get it?
Wow, because I didn't realize I was asked to go get it, Frank.
Let's check the minutes. I mean, you know,
Well,
this
then
is,
I apologize if
this-
I forgot it, if I missed it. I'm
this
sorry.
is all of our town. I'm curious. And in my conversation with the, I called up there, put me right through the town manager, didn't even screen my call. He knew the price, gave it to me, and he said, hey, if you need help doing it, they want help doing it, I'll help you do it. Now, we better hurry up because he just got promoted to the major leagues. He's only going to be here a couple more months. But I did recheck with him after that, and he said he still would help.
Great, that's
But
very helpful.
The end product is great, but I am, if I ran my business like this, if I asked somebody to do something, well, come on, simple question. And yeah, I'm big on it. I would love to have live streaming video here. And I think a lot of other people would too. And I don't like stuff getting swept under and that we forget about.
It wasn't swept under. I didn't realize I was charged with doing that. I'm sorry.
Tom, I mean, check the minutes. Was the video here last time? The last meeting?
No,
It was not.
actually,
It was not. Great. So I think if you check the minutes, if it was reported, I just think there's anybody else who was here, remember? Okay.
Okay.
So we've
Thank
got a
you.
bid of $10,875, which is about half of what the paper said. So, and I think it warrants further discussion on whether we want to bring ourselves up into the 21st century and start taping this stuff, make it easier. I mean, has anybody ever been up there and looked at it? Everybody seen it? It's phenomenal, phenomenal. So I'm going to stay on this. I think it really is important. And I'm also, I mean, I wish I didn't have to go out and get it. It's not my job.
well, it's a good time to bring it up since we're starting the budget discussions. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right, and if we
Exactly.
want them,
We'll
if
add
we
it
want
to
them
the
to help,
capital.
Jim will, but he's not going to be here long. So,
Okay.
and we probably could use help for that. So,
Appreciate it.
The article just said that they budgeted for it, which was 20,000.
Okay, thanks.
Wow. You're quick. Okay, any other items? Mr. Engert?
Yes. Bruce Engert, Roseanne, back to the cost of the appeal process, the legal expense, and whether or not we paid for legal counsel for the town manager. Maybe that would be the first question. Did you in fact authorize payment of Tom's legal defense?
Actually, I do have some information I can share with you. We did, pursuant to the town manager's contract, which you signed when you were chairman of the board.
That's a while back.
Yes, but it's the truth. It is the truth. We did pay attorney's fees in the amount of $5,186.
And the contract does provide for that?
Yes, it does.
Fair enough. That was the second part of that question. Do we have any further itemization of the town attorney's bill in that regard?
I believe the town attorney's bill was in the amount of $19,255.
It's 2 video systems.
So we're up to about $24,000, $25,000.
Right, that's right.
How about the consulting fee for the HR consultant?
Well, there were no additional charges for the HR consultant because we have her under contract on a monthly basis, and there were no additional charges than what we normally pay for her.
And in regard to the dismissed employee for the 12 or so weeks that this carried on, I presume he was being paid?
That's correct, he was being paid.
With benefits and anything else, any other direct or indirect remuneration? Can you give me a ballpark as to what that figure might be?
I can't, I don't have that. I can just tell you that he was on paid administrative leave, which included his benefits.
And generally speaking, annually, he's around a $60,000 or $70,000 employee.
Without going back to the budget, somewhere's in that neighborhood, maybe a little less.
So roughly a fourth of that, or somewhere around $17,000, $18,000. So we're probably up around $40,000 so far that this has cost the taxpayers of Boothbay Harbor.
Well, he would have been paid that anyway, Bruce. That was already budgeted.
Well, I understand that.
That's right.
The process, Tom, is what I'm taking issue with, and the time and the way the board handled the process. I think it was terribly mishandled. I don't think that it should have taken 12 weeks to disseminate. I think that if you had done due diligence and spoken with those that you felt were germane to the issue during that 12-week process, you might have cut this short by maybe 6 weeks and half of the expense that we've already talked about. I'm not done. I was kind of annoyed that your town attorney thought that it ought to be under the Freedom of Access to Information Act a little more expensive than the state seems to think that it should be. And there are other issues that fall kind of into play, and I might as well get it off my chest after sitting here for, let's see, 5 to 12, 7 hours roughly, waiting for the board and the appeal in executive session. My interpretation is that it was more or less conducted like a jury trial. I would have expected more of you as a board, barring the two that voted in the affirmative of the action, in that I think that an appeal process should have been the appellant, his attorney, which is provided for by apparently the ordinance, and you five, and perhaps the town attorney for the reference of points of law and only, not to direct or guide the process, nor the town manager's attorney to direct you and guide the process. Nor do I think it was at all fair for you to hear one side of that appeal up until 10:30 or so, and then expect that the board and the parties involved are going to be attentive and able to disseminate fairly until 12:30 at night. I think that whole process was aired. I think you did a terrible injustice, and I think that you mishandled your position as elected officials for the town. So I've said it all.
Okay, thank you for your input and your opinion. Are there any other public forum comments tonight?
Just real quick, George Ryan, Boothbay Harbor. Going back to Mr. Carter's dilemma, I hope that you guys can. I hope you understand that he felt he bought something. He bought a bad bill of goods. He thought he bought 4/3 and he got just 3/3 of a piece of land, and he's just looking for really what he paid for per third of an acre. He's just looking at that to be returned. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. And we all live in a small town because we can settle these things more simply than perhaps in a city. And it seems to me in a small town of 3,000 people, if he was overcharged and sold something that wasn't, that it would be real simple just to return his money. That's what Frank would do if he was in business. That's what Bruce would do if he was in business, although insurance maybe not.
Probably not.
I mean, he was passionate about it, and he spoke for a long time. I know Denise, but really, he bought something that wasn't, and he's just looking to make it right. And I hope that you guys can find it in your heart to do the right thing.
Okay, thanks. Frank?
Yeah, since he mentioned my name. Frank Boothbay Harbor, Frank Vasek. Quite honestly, as I was saying before, without any malice, it seems that everybody assumed that this was an acre and a third. Just like if I sold the town a plow truck and I told the town it was 2012 and it turned out to be a 2010, the town would expect to be returned to whole or to be given their money back for their truck. That is and I will tell you that does happen. It has happened before, and we never let it get as far as the Attorney General or anything like that. And we had once where a title was printed incorrectly, just like the tax map was printed incorrectly. He's not trying to finagle anybody. He's not trying to buck the system here. And I guess the only reason that I'm interested is if I would feel the same way if I bought a piece of property. If you bought 20 pounds of lobsters for him and you went home and it turned out to be 15, you certainly would think that you were due a refund. And so I think his point is that he would like the refund for the third of an acre, which is about 10 grand, and he would take that and I guess go to the neighbors and try to buy that piece of property for that and get what he thought, what you guys thought you were selling. I mean, you can say, well, we didn't, and you've got the money, 100 years of charging property tax on a third of an acre too much.
Great, thank you.
I think basically.
Could you identify yourself, please?
Yeah, my name's Douglas Hayner. I live at 228 Atlantic Ave. I think it boils down, and Dougie probably knows this, it's a fairness and a moral issue. I mean, you got all the paperwork there, you can get lawyers. The lawyers, you read the final line, like might be buyer beware. So legally, you don't have to give them a dime, the town, probably. That's my guess. But there's the moral and fairness issue, and that's what he's looking for. So that decision's got to come from all five of you.
Okay, thanks, which I think will.
Do the right thing.
We will. Okay, well, one more, a public forum item.
Yeah, this
Mr. Tomko.
Mike Tomko, 59 Roads End. I'll make this real quick. Two quick items. The town lost a great public advocate last Monday. I think it was on the 5th. It was June Phillips. She passed away, and June had been a member of our planning board an active member for about 2.5 years. She was kept on as an alternate. She had mobility challenges, and I will forever see June sitting at the end with her wry wit and the ability to ask a hard question in a very sweet manner. So we had a nice celebration. Denise was there and others from the town up at the Boothbay Firehouse, and I just wanted to get that on the record. That thanks, June. Just a quick item. This is a workshop that's coming up, and just take one and pass it along. It's in Damerscott. It's the end of the month. It is on multi-generational communities and aging in place. It's being sponsored by the Friends of Mid-Coast Maine. There's a day-and-a-half workshop with a national speaker at a free presentation in the evening. Please take a look. I know it's late, and maybe I'll go into it a little bit more detail, but it's about making healthy communities for our senior clientele and how to effectively communicate with the leaders, both at municipal and at the state level, to make good choices for our senior community. So, thanks very much. Go Bucks.
Thanks. Thanks, Mike. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to move into executive session under MRSA Title I, Chapter 13, Subchapter 1, Article 405-6A, Personnel Matters.
So get out, right?
So if you would all leave the room, we'd appreciate it. No decisions were made. The next item on the agenda.
I move we approve the warrants after careful review.
And I
Second.
second that.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, and the next item on the agenda is to adjourn. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Meeting's adjourned.
I move we clean up Katrina and Kelly's cars for them since they had to stay so late.